Major one starts in literally 2 days, so I'm going to go through my pick'ems bracket for you so you can see what teams I have winning each series and who I have taken the event. We also did our pick'ems on the podcast, so if you want to see what my co-hosts Alex and Preston have winning the entire event, definitely check out the episode. We talked about the pick'ems for a majority of the show, but let's hop into my pick'ems. They are already saved because I saved them when we did the podcast, but I want to give you a little bit of insight into each series and kind of my thought process. So maybe this can help you with your pick'ems, or just you can kind of get an idea of what someone's thinking. So starting it off, we're just going to go straight down the list. I don't really care about the time order. Atlanta FaZe over LAG. I mean, FaZe is just great. They're great every single year. Maybe LAG can keep it a little bit close, but I put FaZe 3-0. I don't put enough 3-0s in my pick'ems, and we see a lot of 3-0s, it seems. So I'm trying to sprinkle a couple more in there, although I think I only have like 3 throughout this entire bracket. Then I have 3-1 Miami over Optic. I personally think that if Optic kept this closer when they played each other online this past weekend, I could have Optic maybe winning this series. But I mean, they got pretty much destroyed by Miami. I mean, it really wasn't close. I mean, if we look here on Breaking Point, they lost by over 100 points in Hardpoint, 6-2 in SND, and 3-1 in Control. You could see the KDs. I mean, everybody kind of got destroyed. The highest KD for Optic was a 0.93. So for me personally, I know this is LAN. I know Optic has what it takes. They also have Kenny and Pred this year, but I just don't want to bet against Miami after what they just did to Optic. Logically, to me, it just doesn't feel right. Let me come on down to the rest of winners round 1. I got Ultra 3-0ing Surge. Honestly, Surge to me, I think are the team that I'm predicting as like the bust this major. I just don't see it with Surge. I've said it the entire year. I don't think they have the slaying power to keep up with other teams. Guys like Illy started out the year strong, but is not nearly as good as he was at the beginning of the season. And when you're going up against a Toronto Ultra team who have the top 2 players, Scrap and CleanX, in Slayer rating, or CleanX and Scrap, technically, in 1 and 2 order, I just don't see how Surge can keep up. And then Subliners Rocker. I bet against Rocker a lot this year, and they have been proving me wrong the last 2 weeks. I do think that they're good enough to take a map of the Subliners, who seem to be a little bit struggling right now, right? Obviously getting 3-0'd by Ultra. And then they got taken to the game 5 by the Boston Breach. But ultimately, I would say on LAN, Kismet is probably going to be great, as he always is on LAN. And I'm taking the Subliners over Rocker. Then coming on down to our elimination rounds. I mean, you can see most of this on screen, right? So I'll try to go through it pretty quickly. I got LAT over LAG. That's really just my fan bias. Honestly, LAG has beaten us like almost every single time we've played them. They always win the Battle of LA. But I'm going with my Thieves in a game 5. Then I have Optic over Legion. I just think Legion could take the SND because they're pretty good at it. Then I have Boston, the home team, kind of making a little bit of a run here, taking out the Seattle Surge 3-1. Like I said, I just don't see Seattle really doing much this major, although they definitely could prove me wrong, right? They have guys who have won on LAN before. And then Rocker, I have beating Ravens. No offense to Clay or Gwyn, my guy for Rookie of the Year. But I have put a little bit of respect on Rocker because of the 3-game win streak they're on. Then for Elim round 2, I have Optic taking down Thieves. I would love to pick my guys in this series, but there's just no way. We're like 10th or 11th in the standings at this point, and Optic are obviously top 5. And then I have Boston taking a close game 5 versus the Minnesota Rocker. Once again, a little bit of the home crowd buff. And I do think they are a team that plays really good against good teams, and I think they can find their footing a little bit on LAN here and take down Rocker. And then I have, if we come on up here, Atlanta FaZe 3-2 over Heretics. I actually think Heretics can give FaZe a bit of a series, but ultimately, I think FaZe is just better in most game modes. And Heretics are good in everything as well, but I gotta go the way of FaZe. And then I'm going the way of Ultra over Subliners. Every time these teams play each other, it seems to be a dominant series. The last 3 times they played, Ultra just 3-0'd them, right? Subliners 5-0'd them at Champs, and then Ultra 3-0'd them in Winners Finals at Champs right before that. So they've swept each other. Like, they're just trading blows, so it might be due for Subliners to win this. And like we've been saying on LAN, Kismet is that guy. But I'm still going to lean the way of Toronto because right now I think they look like the most informed team in the league. But obviously, it's between them and FaZe for top 1 and 2. Then we come on down. Subliners, I have them beating Optic in game 5. I almost went Optic here. I really think this could go either way if this ends up being the elimination round 3 matchup. We saw, obviously, Subliners beat them in a game 5 in the beginning of the season online. I think the Optic team is just a little bit down in form right now. Subliners also a little bit down, but I still think much better than what we've seen from Optic in the recent week. Ultimately, this really could go either way. These are 2 extremely talented teams. I just think New York is way better in SND, and that's really the tipping point for me. I don't see Optic taking an SND off this New York team. New York has only lost one search and destroy all year up until this point. So I think personally, they kind of a lock in SND, especially versus Optic, so I'm giving it to them. Then I have Miami 3-0ing Boston. I think this is where Boston's home run comes to an end. You know, they did a little bit, winning 2 series back there, but Miami, I think, are just a more dominant team and way better in every game mode. Then if we scroll on over, elimination round 4, I have Subliners beating Miami 3-2. This could go either way as well. I just think on land, Subliners proved to us all of last year on land that they were really, really good. So I'm going to keep betting on them a little bit in this first major. And then in the, if we come up here, winners finals, I do have Toronto Ultra taking the winners finals 3-2. I think we're going to see that FaZe are human. You know what I mean? I said this on the podcast. FaZe are not going to win every single series all year long. I've seen some people saying that. I think we're going to see that FaZe are human. They're going to win a close game 5 versus Heretics. They're going to lose a game 5 to Ultra. And then they're going to come down here and they're going to, you know, make decent work of the New York Subliners, because I just think FaZe, if anyone's going to beat them in SND, it's going to be the likes of FaZe or Ultra. It's going to take down NYSL. And then in the finals, I do have FaZe getting their revenge from winners finals and taking down Ultra 4-2. I think this is the common the common Major 1 Grand Finals matchup, FaZe versus Ultra. They're very clearly the top 2 teams at this point. So logically, looking at statistics and numbers and just watching the games, I really can't put anyone else here. It's early in the year, so it's hard to predict what teams are going to have upsets. So for now, this is what I'm rocking with at Major 1. I can't change it or anything, because once you submit your predictions, they're locked. So I can't change it. So this is what I'm rocking with. I want to know who you guys have in the finals of the major. So definitely put that down in the comments. Let me know who you have in the finals and obviously who you have winning it. I think this is going to be a good major. I think we're going to see a bunch of game 5s. We'll see how many sweeps we see, because we've been seeing a lot of 3-0s online. I think it's going to be good. We'll see what teams end up breaking my bracket. A team like LAG very well could do it, because I have them losing both series, or a team like Minnesota or Seattle, I think could very well bust my bracket. But you guys let me know who you have winning. Hopefully this gave you a little bit of insight, and I will see you all in the next video.